The great philosopher Plato, one of the greatest minds in human history, was laughed at by his contemporaries towards the end of his career. His disappointment was so great that he decided not to complete the second of his 3 stories on that subject, and not even to start writing the 3rd story. Why did the Greeks, a people accustomed to hearing all kinds of stories, and often believing them, mock no less than the great Plato? Well, in the dialogue Timaeus and in the partial dialogue Crisha, which remained unfinished, Plato relates that some mysterious Egyptian priests from the city of Sais told the famous Athenian statesman Solon a story. Solon was born in the 638 before Christ, 558 before Christ. Plato, 428 before Christ, 348 before Christ, some 200 years later, received this story in a roundabout way, and used it as one of the sources from which he derived his tale. And so far, nothing strange. In this account Plato says many things. Among other things, he tells of the existence of a great island near the Pillars of Hercules. He calls it Atlantis or Land of Atlas. The Greeks of his time knew that more than 40 years before Plato, the famous historian Herodotus, 484 before Christ 430 before Christ, called the mountain range of present-day Morocco by the name Atlas in his histories. Incidentally, it still bears that name today, Atlas Mountains. For a Greek of that time, the name Atlantis or Land of Atlas indicated a land that was evidently located at the foot of Mount Atlas. But everyone knew that there was no great island at the foot of the Atlas. In his account, Plato, quoting the mysterious Egyptian priests, claimed that this island existed 9,000 years before Solon, thus 11,500 years ago. And on this point the laughter of his detractors broke out. And for about 2,000 years people laughed at Plato's claim about Atlantis. Not finding any big island near Mount Atlas, various modern writers have placed it just about everywhere, some in Sardinia, some in Ireland, some in Cuba, some in Indonesia. Honest attempts to solve the mystery. But the land of Atlas has always remained there, where Plato told us it would be. In fact, a few years ago, a small, tiny metal object, the Japanese satellite Pulsar, did justice to the famous Greek philosopher. Whoever the mysterious Egyptian priests were who had told Solon, and through him Plato, that near the mountains of Atlas, in the land of Atlas, or Atlantis, there was a huge island, they were right. The article in the journal Nature, dated the 10th of November, 2015, entitled African Humid Periods Triggered the Reactivation of a Large River System in Western Sahara, signed by Cisco Nichny and others, talks about a large river system in Western Sahara, drawing its sources from the Hoggar Plateaus and the southern Atlas Mountains in Algeria. This so-called Tamanrasset River Valley has been described as a possible vast and ancient river system. The article goes on into detail from a geological point of view. In few words, we can say that Pulsar discovered a gigantic mega-river, now dried up, that started in the Atlas Mountains and cut across the entire northwest corner of Africa, flowing into today's Mauritania. The river valley of the Tamanrasset is about 90 kilometers wide. The mouth of this mega-river, now located under the sea, was 400 kilometers wide. It was a monster comparable to the Amazon River, so large that in several places it is indistinguishable from the sea. This means that the Tamanrasset River could reach a similar width from coast to coast. We can imagine an observer at ground level. How would he know it was a river, or a sea, if the opposite coast was 90 kilometers away? Except for the salinity of the water, nothing, but we do not know if the people of the ancient time would understand this difference. That is a greater distance than the Strait of Messina and the Strait of Gibraltar combined. When the mega-river Tamanrasset was flowing, during the last African humid period, between about 14,500 and 7,000 years ago, with traces up to 5,500 years ago, except for a small piece in the northeast, the land of Atlas, or Atlantis, or territories south of Mount Atlas, were really an island. To the north it was surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea. To the west it was surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. To the south it was surrounded by the mega-river Tamanrasset. To the east it was almost completely surrounded by the same river, except for a small piece formed by the Atlas mountain range. Can this land really be called an island? In the Greek sense, the answer is yes. We all know what the Peloponnese, one of the most important areas of Greece, is. Well, the Peloponnese has exactly the same geographical conformation as the land of Atlas. It is an almost island, attached to the mainland by a small isthmus. What does the term Peloponnese mean? This word comes from the Greek, Peloponnesos, meaning island of Pelops. This is irrefutable evidence that for the Greeks of ancient times, a quasi-island like the Peloponnese could be considered an island. No wonder then that Solon, and after him Plato, called the quasi-island of Mount Atlas, or Atlantis, with Nessos, the term that we translate as island in the modern sense of the word. You can get more information and insights on this subject by consulting the book with the title Atlantis 2021. Lost Continent Discovered. You will find the link to the book in the description below the video.